Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, everyone, for joining the Unwired webinar today. Today's topic is discussing Fiori apps, both standard and custom, and we'll of course focus on the custom Fiori apps today. My name is Alok Pant. I'm CEO of Unwired, based in Houston, Texas. And joining me today is our guest speaker, Praveen Calais. He's our Vice President of Products for Fiori and also for mobile asset management. And he will share his experiences building Fiori apps and deploying them at customers. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping notes. So we will do questions and answers at the end. You can send your questions via chat, or we'll also open up the lines at the end. But the important thing that I want to get out there is we are offering a special offer. So to the first 3 people who sign up, we will give first 1 week of free Fiori app consulting, in which we can help you with your roadmap, developing your roadmap, the business case for Fiori apps. What are the costs involved? What licenses do you need? How long does it take to build these apps, standard or custom? And we can also share with you an overview of the SAP Business Technology Platform, all that thing. So that is an offer we are giving to the first 3 people who sign up. All right. So quick agenda here. We'll spend a minute on Unwired so everybody gets an overview of who we are. Then we'll talk about SAP. What are SAP Fiori apps? Not spend too much time. I think just to set the stage for everyone. We'll talk of the advantages of Fiori apps. And then why the need for custom apps? SAP is giving thousands of free SAP standard Fiori apps. And yes, of course, you can use them, but there is a business case for custom Fiori apps, and that's what we'll discuss today. We'll give you a brief glimpse of the system landscape, give you about 4 or 5 examples of real Fiori apps that customers have deployed for inventory management, purchase order related, and others. And then we'll share our lessons learned, and of course, we'll do Q&A. So we are a certified SAP partner company. We're headquartered in Houston, Texas. Our customers are in the US, Canada, South Africa, Europe, Australia, New Zealand. So we have customers all over. We do 3 or 4 things very well. We are going to talk about Fiori today, but we also have a product suite for SAP mobile asset management to mobilize SAP plan maintenance. We also have a digital forms application. You can convert any paper to digital form. And then we have a low-code app dev platform. And our key differentiators really is our happy reference customers. We also pride ourselves on our cost leadership. We deliver value to customers. And we are very flexible. We like to listen to your requirements and get the job done. But today we're going to talk about more technical Fiori stuff. And we've got a fair share of recognition through Gartner. Yeah, so with that, I think I'm going to request Praveen to go over the whole Fiori presentation for today. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Alok, for that wonderful introduction. And with that, let's dive straight into the topic for today's discussion, Fiori applications. So we all know that SAP has been a market leader when it comes to delivering business applications. But the same can't be said about the user interface that SAP offers to its customers. So if you look at the history of the SAP user interface technologies, starting with SAP GUI to ITS, to WebDentro, BSP, PCUI, Portal. So all of these have been good attempts at trying to provide the user with the best possible end user experience, but they haven't really succeeded. I'm sure you would all agree with me, right? And at the same time, the world outside of SAP was evolving, very rapidly. Be it in terms of the user experience, or be it in terms of the technologies that are used to communicate between various systems, open standards, looking at solutions which were simple to use, because SAP transactions, as you know, can be really complicated. So a simple business process which gives the flexibility of being able to deploy both on-premise or on the cloud. And the ability to use open technologies and not proprietary communication protocols, so that it is not only both easy to develop it, but also easier for interfacing it with third-party systems for extended scenarios. And while at the same time, it was also important to design a solution where users found it intuitive to use the application and had a consistent experience across all channels of consumptions, be it a mobile phone or a tablet or a web application, right? So all of these things had to be kept in mind, and SAP had to act fast. And the what I would say the SAP Fiori paradigm is the culmination of SAP's efforts to achieve that ultimate user experience, right? With equal weightage given to the business, the technology, and the people. So a Fiori application is nothing but an application that is developed to address all these requirements that are required of these three key components: the business, technology, and the people. So in terms of technologies, I would like to highlight that the most important technologies that SAP uses here are, OData services, which is a REST-based communication protocol, and UI5, which is a JavaScript-based framework to develop these business multi-platform business applications. So what is the real advantage of these Fiori applications, right? So we already established that customers were looking for applications that are very simple to use. And from a technology perspective, for people who are maintaining these and deploying these solutions, it was important that it was easy to deploy and configure them. End users, without having to train much, intuitive applications for them to use, responsive across devices with varying form factors, the ability to extend these applications to achieve custom requirements that users may have. SAP has always had extension mechanisms, so the same goes with the Fiori applications as well. And when it comes to open technologies, I mentioned UI5 and REST OData services on the REST paradigm, which makes it possible for a very large developed community and with adequate support. So SAP has a vast library of standard Fiori applications that are available for both the business suite as well as S/4HANA. So there's a link out here which allows you to browse through this vast library of Fiori applications that you could match it with your versions of SAP installations and find something which is suitable for deploying in your landscape. But if SAP is already providing applications which are simple to use, easy to configure, and very intuitive, what is the real need to have these custom Fiori applications, right? So if you look at the statistic that I have from the Fiori apps library, you would see that there are close to 2,683 applications available on S/4HANA and 116 Lighthouse apps. So what exactly is a Lighthouse application? A Lighthouse application is something which supports very simple but previously unsupported scenarios in your business suite or ECC, which offers immediate benefits on deployment to end users. This could be in finance, sales, logistics execution. So across all these different components, you have these high productive applications, which are christened as Lighthouse apps, right? But if you look at this graphic out here, you will see that a lot of these applications are available on S/4HANA, but not really on SAP Business Suite. So when I say Business Suite, it would include ECC, CRM, SCM, SRM, and all of those core SAP applications. So there is a big disparity when it comes to the number of applications that SAP is really offering to its customers. And what is also happening is the support for your SAP Business Suite. The end of life is something which SAP had said would be sooner than what is on this timeline. But then ultimately it has been extended to 2027, and then you have extended support until 2030 to keep running your existing systems, right? So there's no real motivation for people to move from ECC to S/4HANA in the interim, provided if they don't see a real business benefit in moving, right? So limited apps on Business Suite, continued support until 2030, and also the applications that SAP provides, right, are transactionally heavy. So you don't really have Fiori applications that substitute some of these complex transactions. If I take an example of plant maintenance, maybe if you have the work order creation, editing, and all of those different functionality that you would have in a standard T code like IW31, right? So you don't really have an exact replica of that in a Fiori application. So you would still continue to use these traditional transactions in SAP GUI from the Fiori Launchpad to achieve those business processes. Also, these Fiori applications are really online applications, right? So they don't really support these offline mobile scenarios that you may have in your enterprise. Maybe let's say, for example, in a warehouse management scenario, right? You might need a lot of transactions that you may want to execute in an offline mode, and with the ability to integrate with peripheral devices for barcode scanning, QR codes, and RFID tag reading, and integration with mobile printers and all of this. So all of this requires kind of additional work. And these standard applications that SAP delivers do not provide third-party integrations, right? So in case you have mashup scenarios, business processes which require the users to jump across multiple business systems and collate data from all of those systems, right? You definitely would have to, change the existing Fiori application or build your own applications to cater to those needs. So these are all the reasons why, even though SAP provides you a rich set of applications, you would still want to, develop your own custom Fiori applications. So we already have discussed what a Fiori application is, and we also have, the SAP's, Fiori design paradigm. So what an application needs to achieve for it to be recognized as a Fiori application, right? So SAP has, provides all the development tools and infrastructure which allows end users to develop these Fiori applications. And the applications that users can develop can be categorized into three major, components out here. The first one is applications using Fiori elements, SAP Fiori applications which use a freestyle approach, and then of course the mobile applications. So if you plot a graph of complexity and flexibility, the applications that you develop using the Fiori elements paradigm offer you the greatest, the ease in which you can develop these applications, because they already provide you standard templates when it comes to these layouts or floor plans. So what should a screen look like? Should it contain a search bar? Should it contain, the results as a list in between and a footer? So what UI elements have to be used? Those kind of metadata-driven development, wherein you can use these annotations to define what your user interface should look like, and without much coding, you can actually achieve the end result, right? You can develop these applications very quickly. But the moment you talk about metadata-driven applications, right, there's very limited scope in terms of how you can tweak those solutions. So if it's only settings and you can't change the code, obviously you know that it means you don't have a great deal of flexibility. So if you want that flexibility of getting the app to do what you want, then you have to try and develop these SAP Fiori freestyle kind of applications. So freestyle applications again provide you multiple different floor plans. You can have a work list kind of a floor plan, or you can have a list detail kind of a floor plan, or you can say, hey, I'm going to build everything from scratch. I'm going to build my own layout, and so that kind of flexibility is something which an SAP freestyle application would offer you. But the moment you have the freedom to do what you want, which means the complexity of that development increases by one notch. The same thing goes for the mobile applications as well. So mobile applications are applications which allow you to integrate with peripheral devices, allow you to access the native capabilities of the device on which you want to deploy the solution. You also have the offline scenarios. So all of that comes with added complexity, which means the mobile applications would be really complex to build, but also would offer you the greatest flexibility in what you want to do in terms of the application itself. So having looked at these three key headings under which these applications can be developed, let's look at what is the landscape for a typical web application or a mobile application, and the infrastructure that is required to build these kind of applications. So here is a block diagram which shows you, the technology components which are new in addition to the infrastructure that you already own. Let's say, for example, you have an SAP ECC system where you want to, build or extend Fiori applications. So the infrastructure that you will need to really build these applications is really a subscription to the Business Application Studio on the Business Technology platform. And you would need an installation of the cloud connector within your firewall, which would open an outbound connection to the business technology platform, where using a browser-based IDE, you can build your Fiori-based applications, which can then be deployed onto your gateway system. So depending upon the kind of landscape that you have, you could have an embedded gateway or you could have a hub spoke model. So whatever it is, the applications that you developed in the Business Application Studio can be deployed via the cloud connector into your gateway system. And that application can use the OData services which are available on the backend systems to achieve the business process that you want. Internally, you could also have it integrated with any other third-party software, FTP servers. All of them are internal to your system. And these applications could easily communicate to all those systems within your landscape, right? So this is a very simple landscape that you would have when it comes to developing online Fiori applications. But the landscape gets a little more complicated when you look at the Fiori applications for mobile. So in the mobile development, what you need is on the business technology platform, a few more components that you would need to make the offline scenarios possible. So you would, in addition to the Business Application Studio, which is used to develop the application, the web application, you would need a Cloud Foundry runtime, and you would need to enable the SAP mobile services, which provides you these the infrastructure which is required to do the synchronization, the authentication, the logging, crashlytics analysis, and all of that infrastructure is available in the SAP mobile services, as a part of the Cloud Foundry runtime. But on the on-premise landscape, nothing else changes. So you still have the cloud connector, which opens an outbound channel from within your enterprise to the BTP. And the applications that you developed, the online applications or the mobile applications, can access your OData services within the enterprises via the business technology platform. So this is a really secure environment to expose all the systems within your landscape to the external world. So what does it really take for you to build, or what does it cost for you to have this infrastructure in place in your company to build these applications? So if you're looking at building online Fiori applications, all that you need is a subscription to the Business Application Studio, which starts at about $15 per user per month. So if you have, let's say, a team of 3 developers who are developing these Fiori applications on BAS, the cost for 1 year would be about $540 USD, right? So you can start for as low as $550 with your custom Fiori application and development, as cheap as that. But if you want to have advanced scenarios wherein you want to build these offline mobile applications, and you would like to have third-party applications outside of the SAP system, try to integrate with your SAP landscape, you may have to turn on a few more switches in the business technology platform. That could be the Cloud Foundry runtime and the mobile SAP mobile services. And the cost for all of that is something which I have just given you a hint of. And these details, this is a subscription-based license. You can also go for a pay as you go kind of a license model as well. And all these things are something which you can always negotiate with SAP and arrive at the best pricing model for your Fiori application needs. But the point is, if you just want to develop online Fiori applications, you can start for as low as $540. So having said that, so what are the kind of custom Fiori applications that we have been developing for our end users, right? So it is not just development of custom applications for end users. We also, deploy and configure standard applications, and we extend those standard applications using the SAP business technology platforms, business application studio. So let's have a few screenshots of what these applications could look like. So this is a standard purchase order approval application which is delivered by SAP, and then we've had to make a few changes to let's say add a few fields, let's say like the payment terms or the company code, or these simple enhancements to the existing application to meet the end user requirement, right? So this is an example of that. So you can approve or reject purchase order. So this is a standard purchase order approval app. But then this application that you see here is the goods receipt of a purchase order. And here, what you see is a list detail, floor plan that we have used, wherein we have a custom filter, which is allowing the users to filter for all the purchase orders based on criteria which is required by that business. The ability to enter the information, the basic minimum information that you would in a Migo transaction to do a goods receipt, the list of all the items, the posting quantity, and if you want to filter for items that you're looking for, if your purchase order has a lot of items, you can do some filters out here, and you can just do a simple post. So this is a sample list detail pure goods receipt application. And then a few more complicated, comprehensive applications like the asset condition monitoring. So this is an example of what we have done, for a utilities company. And this dashboard actually gives them a gist of all the asset condition monitoring that is happening for the entire financial year, right? So this kind of a dashboard gives you a summary of what inspections are to be conducted on the assets in this financial year. You have a total of 10,000 assets, these many poles, transformers, and different infrastructure components in the utility space. Gives you inspection summary by status, completed, to be completed, how many are scoped, inspected, and by object type, some more details, and who are the inspectors and what have they inspected, right? So then what we also have is, a map-based inspection application here, wherein we use S3 maps to plot all the assets on the map, and the user can click on these pins to do an inspection of the asset out here. So this is a summary of the asset and the labels on the different assets, color codes to indicate what the asset is, and if the inspection is complete or in error. So all of these color codes, to make it more intuitive to the user to conduct his business. And then just a couple of more minutes on some of the inventory management scenarios. So this is a home screen of all the different scenarios for inventory management. Here we have goods receipt of a PO. Here again, the variation is that different materials, even though they're batch managed, maybe they have different flavors in terms of how they need to be processed at the times of goods receipt. So some custom development to make that possible. Labels are nothing but batch managed materials, but they only have one quantity that can be received at any point in time. So that's a small variation, right? It's something which a standard SAP PO goods receipt Migo will not allow you to do. So those are the kind of variations that we may have. The ability to split lines and do partial receipts of individual batches. So that is something that you can do. And then goods issue against work orders. So again, this is again a custom application that we built to just do the process of issuing materials against a work order. And the work order may have multiple pick lists, so you can pick any list, pick any pick list for that particular work order, and then toggle through it, and then issue those materials against that work order. So there was another specific scenario for this customer. And then work order variation. Here we had sometimes what happens is when you're working in a particular job, you have a certain budget allocated to it. But then over a period of time, there may be cost escalations for which you need to have a custom workflow wherein you get approvals for increase in costs. So a custom application which captures the history of increase in budgets and why it increased and the reasons for the increase. That is something which we can capture here and integrated with the SAP standard workflow application. So, so these are some of the applications which we are developing for our end users, which obviously cannot be catered to by the standard SAP applications. So, having said that, so we have what are the surprises when it comes to building these applications? So first of all, some applications almost always see changes. Even though SAP has made an attempt to make it applicable for all businesses. Point is one size never fits all. And also in a framework-driven development, you only have so much room for customization. You have to work within the the boundaries of the rules that have been laid. So that is another constraint. And when developing offline mobile applications, you always have a lot of limitations in terms of. I mentioned the OData protocol as the communication language between the device and the backend, right? So not all features of OData will be supported for your offline mobile scenarios, like function impose. There'll be some data length restrictions. Deep inserts are allowed only on single entities, and a lot of restrictions on custom queries. So all of these challenges you would really face when you actually get down to building those applications. While it would seem that it is very simple drag and drop, and all of those easy drag and drop development tools to aid your development, you always will have some challenges when your business process gets a little complex. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to kind of share more details on these applications, maybe in a one-to-one session. If you're very interested, we can explore that a little more in detail.
So let's take over, I guess, the questions. But yeah, so then just before we go to questions, once again, just reminding everybody of the special offer to the first 3 people. We are happy to help you navigate. How do you go around? Do you have the right landscape? What do you need? How do you get started? All that. We're happy to give you free consulting. So sign up with us for that. And so so there you have my email, our phone number. Just reach out to us. Let us know if you want to do, discuss anything. We're happy to set up one-on-ones. Let's move to questions. So I guess, Praveen, the first question is, there are many questions, but let's start with how much time does it take for standard Fiori app deployment? I think I can take that. So typically this would take about 3 to 5 days, depending on what app it is. Deploying standard Fiori app doesn't take a whole lot of time. So 3 to 5 days. Okay. The next question is, there's a question about low code. The question is, is this a low-code platform, or will you need a professional developer to really build these Fiori applications, Praveen?
So it all depends upon the business case that you're trying to address. So if it's simple scenarios where you don't have much of edit or the knowledge of OData services, then maybe you can get a business kind of a user to develop these. Let's say, for example, a mobile application, right, using the MDK technology. Mobile development kit. You can build both offline applications as well as web applications. But for more complex scenarios, you would definitely need a lot of in-depth understanding of all the technology and also how the infrastructure really works. So yeah, so it would be low code for an experienced developer, but not really for a business user.
Okay, and the next question is, I'm just going to read it here. Can we see an example of the screen available for a Fiori mobile app as it would appear on a cell phone or tablet? The concern is that the app won't fit on the smaller screens to make it possible for users. So can you comment on the form factor and how does it look on smaller screens?
Yes, that is true. So the applications, right? Again, SAP tried to build these Fiori applications for simple, single, transaction kind of use cases. So when it comes to complex transactions like work order creation, right, it is not possible for us to compress that functionality onto a mobile device, right? So the use case has to be small and it has to be simple. And those are the ones that we can have a responsive kind of paradigm for both web and mobile devices. And for complex transactions, I think the web or the tablet would be the best form factor.
Okay. Where is the data stored? Is it in SAP or where?
So the applications, right? So the Fiori application is just the user interface, right? So all of the data and the business transactions is in the backend system. So it could be a SAP. So the simplest case is SAP ECC or a CRM system, right? In the business suite. So all of the data is from those business systems, and the data also resides right there. This is for applications that you deploy on the business suite or S4HANA, right? But these applications can also be deployed on the business technology platform, in which case the source of that information for the Fiori applications can be any system which can be an OData endpoint, or it can be a REST endpoint. It does not really have to be your SAP systems always.
Okay, what role does custom CD views play in all this? Custom CD views, CDS views, sorry.
Yeah, so like I said, right? So the CDS views and the annotations that you have for all your OData services, right, allows you to use these applications which are metadata driven. So let's say, for example, the SAP Fiori elements, right? So those kind of applications, it becomes very simple because all of the annotations already describe what is expected out of that UI element or the business process, which aids in the development of these applications very quickly. But for more complex scenarios, this is not possible, and you will still have to go to the approach of developing a freestyle UI application.
Let's quickly go another question. Do you guys have experience in implementing complex and unique business processes such as sales order variant configuration? I guess not the Fiori app, but we have done those kinds of complex processes. So let me move to the next question. Can it work offline?
Yes. So these applications can definitely work offline, but for offline applications, like I said, you would need the business technology platform, and you will have to enable some of the services in the business technology platform, like the Cloud Foundry runtime and the SAP mobile services. So these two are the key components which are required to enable offline mobile applications. And offline mobile applications also, there are two kinds of offline mobile applications that you can build. One is using MDK, the mobile development kit, which is a metadata-driven approach to building mobile applications, which means that you build the screens and the logic in Business Application Studio and deploy to mobile services, and you don't really have to build the the mobile client itself. So this mobile client can be downloaded from the app stores. SAP already provides them. They can just point them to the metadata-driven configuration in the mobile services.
Some more questions from one user is a couple. I'll just read them aloud together. Can you elaborate why we need the integrator platform and which one do you suggest? And is the embedded gateway available for all SAP on applications like S4, RPM, Ariba, etc.?
Yeah, so the integration platform is something which I just put it in there as just a block diagram, because that is something which we have used at one of our customers. Because whenever you build these Fiori applications, right, the Fiori application, whether it consumes data from the gateway system or whether it consumes the data from the third-party, let's say an integration broker, right, is a call that you need to take based on the application architecture, right? So if you have an application which requires you to communicate with 3 different backends, and SAP being just one of them, whether you do that communication from ECC to that third-party system, or whether you do that from an integration broker to the third-party system, is a call that you need to take. And that call needs to be taken based on the business case that you really have, right? So that block diagram was just depicting that that scenario. So it is possible to go directly from the application to the integration broker and to third-party systems, or route all the communication via the SAP gateway system, the OData services, and all the integration with the third-party systems happens from the SAP gateway to those third-party systems. So that's
and we're happy to have one-on-one. I'm going to jump in here. I want to get more people questions. So the other question is it possible to embed an externally developed Power BI dashboard into a Fiori app? We have a lot of separately developed BI screens, or do these screens need to be redeveloped natively within the Fiori app?
Okay, so that is something which I'll probably have to look at before commenting on that. But I'm happy to have that conversation, and then we can explore the possibility of doing that.
All right, and I guess how much? A couple of questions are: what is the development cost for this? So I guess for standard Fiori apps, it's 3 to 5 days, so that's what it will take. And for custom Fiori apps, from our experience, we found it can take anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 to 3 months. So you can do the math, and we can happy to give you more detailed cost answers on a one-on-one session. There are a lot of questions, and we'll get back to some of you via email because I think we are running out of time. Here's one more question. I don't see anything that relates to the latest S4 2020 offering like SAP Low Code or App Giver. Is GIT integration part of your solution, considering SAP has been pushing on it since 2021? I'm not sure what GIT is. Praveen, do you know what GIT integration is?
No, look, maybe I need to have.
I'll follow. We'll follow up with the person for sure. One more question. I don't think we answered this. Is the embedded gateway available for all SAP on applications like S4 and Ariba?
Yeah, so that is the embedded gateway is just a configuration that you choose to have to deploy your Fiori applications. Whether you have an embedded gateway or a separate gateway in the hub and spoke model, like I said, is based on your landscape configuration. So I'm sure it is available for ECC, CRM, SRM, and SCM. So Ariba, I'm not really sure. So I'll probably have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, and the one last question. This is from one of our customers. 2683 standard apps. I'm not sure I understand the question. Maybe you can, Praveen. Does SAP one-on-one on corresponding mobile apps, or that's not the case?
So these,
go ahead.
Yeah, these applications are online applications which are available for you to deploy onto your systems, and those applications are not offline capable. So offline capable applications are separate, and those have to be built according to the customer's use cases.
Okay, and I guess one more question came up. Does it require real-time data transfer?
I mean, these are online applications. So if it's an online application, all of the data transfer happens in real time. But if it is a mobile application, then what happens is it's all offline, stored locally. And then whenever you do a synchronization, it gets synchronized with the server. Okay,
and there's one more question that popped up. You had mentioned about the asset monitoring app, right? The question is, how flexible, customizable is this asset monitoring app? How will it cater to the needs of manufacturers with a discrete manufacturing landscape?
Yeah, so the custom applications, they are custom applications because they address a specific business need of a particular industry. So generally, these are not really built to be generic across companies or industries. So it is a custom application.
I guess we can take some learnings from you.
Yeah, we can take learnings and borrow the the design and the technology and the the integration ideas. But the business case itself has to be specific to that end user or the customer.
All right, thank you, Praveen. So I think we've answered all the questions.
Once again, there are a couple of people who have raised hands. They may want to ask questions. So let me open the floor, and I mean, we can in fact unmute people one after one.
Yeah, please go ahead, Salman.
Hi, can this app work offline?
Yes, yes. So you're talking about the asset condition monitoring application. So the asset condition monitoring application is something which we have built for it to be both online and offline. And the offline application is available for use on the iPad. And we have built that application using the SDK for mobile data services. Yes, that is definitely offline capable.
Hey guys, hey Alok and Praveen, thanks for the presentation. It was a good overview. My name is Sanmat Padali. I'm part of the Bristol Myers Squibb. Most of the questions you guys have answered. Just wanted to connect offline, maybe. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. We'll send you an email. Thank you. Then I want to thank all the attendees, especially those who have stayed beyond the 30 minutes. We've never had so many questions before. So I think this webinar has hit a chord with a lot of people. Thank you to Praveen, and we will follow up with you. We'll get a recording of the webinar, the slides, and let us know if you want to take that 1 week of free consulting. Just reach out to me. My email is there, number is there. Okay, thanks again. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a good day.